What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and Dr. Ethan Turner back this week for Week 11. Talking injuries. No moment of silence today, Ethan, but we got a lot of injuries to go through once again.
It seems like this has been a trend, which is a good thing because we're not losing players all year, but it's a bad thing because we're still getting a ton of players hurt. So we'll take what we can get, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse, I guess you could say, but I mean, there's been some injuries here midweek that have popped up that got a lot of people wondering what they're going to do for the weekend. So we're going to dive right in here to a few of our big hitters, as we like to call them. And the first one going to be up, it's going to be Drew Brees, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. We're going to be without Breezes for a while.
We are, and I will be honest with you, Jake. I was pretty close to putting him as a moment of silence. I don't want to commit to him not playing again this fantasy season, but it's not looking good. He has multiple rib fractures and a punctured lung. He did take a pretty bad beating last week, and these injuries clearly show it. Reports are that he is for sure out the next 2 weeks, and like I said, I think that's pretty generous. I think there's a good chance that we're going to be without Brees for a while. And with that, it's Jameis Winston's time. We're going to see what happens with Jameis Winston. We're going to see how he affects this offense. And I'm really curious to see just how creative Taysom Hill's role becomes without Drew Brees.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, but this is why they signed Jameis Winston in the offseason, right? They needed a backup plan. They knew Brees was an aging quarterback. I mean, Jameis just threw for over 5,000 yards last year. It's not like he can't play the position. He just throws it to the other team a lot, which is a problem. But yeah, absolutely. The fact that you almost queued up the moment of silence for Drew Brees is enough of a red flag for me to say there's a chance that we don't see Drew Brees in fantasy football. I mean, not going to say rest of season, but maybe in a fantasy lineup here once again this year. What about his teammate, though? Alvin Kamara popping up on an injury report. What do we got on him?
Kamara's dealing with a foot-toe sprain combo. The reports are that it's a toe, but there's also some that are listing it as a foot, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. But he was actually downgraded to a DNP on Thursday, so he didn't practice on Thursday. He did tell reporters after practice that he should be good to go this Sunday. There's still a slight chance that he isn't cleared to play, so just kind of keep an eye on this one Sunday morning just in case. I think he'll play, but again, you just want to kind of keep an eye on it because he's not practicing.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue right there. What about Christian McCaffrey? A lot of people starting to worry a little bit. I know you cautioned people a long time ago saying, hey, we may not see 100% Christian McCaffrey for a long time this season, and he comes back, he looks great for a week. Is there a chance that we could miss CMC for a while?
There it is. Initial thoughts were that CMC could return from his shoulder injury as soon as this week. I was pretty skeptical. He did need a second opinion to get even this to be an option. So that tells me the first opinion was not a good opinion. He's already been ruled out this week, though. So don't expect Christian McCaffrey this week. I'm thinking week 14 after the team's bye could be a possible return date. But this team is really struggling to win, and they don't have a ton of incentive to push CMC to return any sooner. I'm not going to guarantee that we see CMC again this season, which is a bummer for fantasy, but long-term health, it's better for CMC if he does get, basically gets the brakes put on him because he hasn't been able to do it this year yet.
So if you're a CMC owner right now in fantasy football, you trying to fleece over another owner and try to offload him here right now and get something for him just in case?
I struggle with this morally. I think it's kind of a gray area. If it's me, I'm probably putting him on the block and seeing what I can get. If I don't love any of the options, I'm not just trading them away for pennies, but if someone's willing to give me a reasonable asset that is playing, I don't hate the idea of offloading CMC.
Yeah, me neither. My morals go out the window when I'm trying to get W's, especially if it's
Jake
against
has
you guys.
no morals. It's cool.
Depends who I'm playing against, really. I mean, if it's against you guys, then no morals whatsoever. I gotta win. What about a couple guys who came up on the injury report with some illness here this week? We got T. Higgins and CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, two guys both dealing with illness. Both guys held out of practice on Thursday. In today's kind of COVID world, teams really have to be careful with how they approach pretty much all sickness. This could be the flu. This could be allergies. It could be anything, but the point is that they're not practicing. Both of them are expected to be game time decisions depending on how their health goes. You're going to have to pay attention Sunday morning. If they're not healthy, teams have to be extra cautious this year with illness. So there's a chance we don't see either of these guys play. Obviously, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the main benefactor is Lev Bell. Could this be a Lev Bell week? I think there's a good chance that we see more of him, especially if Edwards-Helaire is not at 100%.
Yep, that's a big question mark right there. What about, this one is basically just how this sums up 2020, right? I made Deandre Swift my running back start of the week. I ranked him inside my top 6 in the rankings. It was maybe an hour after I released my rankings video. Reports come out that Deandre Swift has been diagnosed with a concussion. And it's just like my sign says, right? It's a swift kick to the nuts, basically.
Yes, it is. He practiced on Wednesday. That's what makes this really concerning. Listed as out with a concussion on Thursday. So did it happen in practice? I guess we have to assume that it did. Concussions are really tricky, but it's not a good sign. For this guy, he was finally taking control of the backfield. He was finally like, yes, you can start Deandre Swift, total confidence. And now this, not ideal. If he isn't cleared by Saturday, pretty good chance he misses this week. I would say there's probably a 30% chance that he plays and that I'm not really expecting him.
That hurts. So fire up old man Adrian Peterson there once again. How about Devonte Adams, another big name guy who's been producing some big numbers for a lot of people?
Adams is dealing with an ankle sprain. He hasn't practiced as of Thursday. He doesn't necessarily need to practice this week. He's kind of in that level of, if he's good to go, they're going to probably play him. Mm-hmm. But he did seem kind of lukewarm in the interviews that I've seen about his availability. He expects to play, but he would not lock in and guarantee that he would. So this training staff has been notorious for being a little on the safe side. So Devonte Adams is going to be a game time decision. You're going to have to pay attention for this guy because, again, the team has been super cautious with him.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. Now, this next one is a main beneficiary for your Pittsburgh Steelers because, they just need more reasons to win football games, apparently. James Robinson has popped up on some injury reports. Should we worry about James Robinson?
I don't think we should. He's dealing with a shoulder sprain. He's been limited in practice this week, but it doesn't appear that he's in any danger of missing, at least from the early reports. I'd like to see him get a full practice in today on Friday to be 100% sure that he plays. But then again, he is playing my undefeated, mind you, Jake, you need to put the undefeated portion, undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers this week. So we can't really expect much from James Robinson.
Wow. That's no bias spoken there, right, Ethan?
No bias at all.
No bias. All right. Well, hey, it was going to be a tough matchup for James Robinson anyway. We need him to be healthy. It's going to be a tough stretch of some ball games for him here coming up. All right, let's go into some quick hitters. Let's knock him through here pretty quick. What about Calvin Ridley of the Falcons?
Ridley's dealing with a foot sprain. He was limited in practice on Thursday. I'd say unless he gets a full practice in today on Friday, I don't think he's going to be ready this week. I think we're going to be without Ridley once again. Foot sprains, man, we're going to talk about them here for probably the next 3 minutes, and they're not good.
Yeah, especially at a position where you need to push off with your foot. I can only imagine that's a little bit of a problem. What about Joe Mixon? Are we ever going to see Joe Mixon? Is he ever going to play in the NFL again?
I don't know. I didn't think that we were going to have a moment of silence for Joe Mixon, but now I'm starting to wonder if we shouldn't have. He is dealing with his own midfoot sprain. He hasn't practiced at all this week. It is looking pretty bleak for Joe Mixon again. I expect him to miss this game again. And honestly, I don't know when we can expect him back. He has to practice at some point.
At some point, at some point it may be beneficial for him to practice before he plays again. What about Chris Carson? Obviously, the Thursday night football game has already been played. He was not out there. Are we getting closer to Chris Carson returning, though?
I do think we're getting closer. He's still dealing with his own midfoot sprain. Everybody's got midfoot sprains. What's up with that?
I didn't get one. That's not fair.
I know. I think Carson could be ready next week. It could be another 3 weeks. I think that it being on Thursday made this kind of an easy sit for the Seahawks. The moral of this story is that if you see a foot injury, you just have to assume that it's going to cost you multiple games and that it's not going to heal well.
Yeah, that's just the way 2020 is going with foot injuries. What about Teddy Bridgewater?
Bridgewater is expected to miss this week with an MCL tear. He could potentially play next week, but with the bye week looming in 2 weeks and the team having lost 5 straight games, I'd say there's not really a real rush for him to return. More than likely, they're going to wait until after the bye week.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense for sure. Gardner Menshu, another quarterback.
Minshew's dealing with that thumb fracture and sprain on his throwing hand. He did practice in a limited fashion, but has actually already been ruled out this week. Jake Luton getting another start against my undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I had to throw that in there once again. All right, what about everybody's quarterback one on their roster this year, Nick Foles?
Nick Foles left last week with a hip pointer injury. He actually got carted off the field. There was a little concern based on how upset he was that this was serious, but after the MRI, it doesn't look like that is the case. Hip pointer injuries are all kind of about pain management. The team is on a bye, so it's not like we have to worry about if we should play him or not. If there was a game, I wouldn't have expected him to play, but we'll know more about his availability next week.
Did you basically just call him a baby and that he's not able to endure any pain?
I mean,
if
I didn't
the shoe fits?
call him a baby.
I mean, okay. Anyway, what about another quarterback? Because that's the position of the hour right now. Matthew Stafford. The last time I checked, the right hand was pretty important for a quarterback if they're right-handed.
Yeah, he is dealing with his own thumb injury. He has a ligament sprain, so not quite as severe as Gardner Menshew's, which we mentioned earlier. Stafford looks like there's at least a chance that he plays. Stafford is one of these tough guys in the NFL. He tends to play through injuries, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does play. But the problem is that his whole entire team seems to be hurt right now.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson's dealing with a toe sprain. He was limited in practice. He's been limited for a few weeks now. He has been playing, so I expect him to do the same this week. Marvin Jones is dealing with a knee sprain. He's been limited in practice. I don't expect him to miss, but you can never really be sure with him. Kenny Galladay is still dealing with that hip pointer. He actually practiced on Wednesday, so it was looking positive, but then got demoted to a DNP on Thursday. Not what you want to see. I think there's a good chance Kenny Galladay misses again this week, but it is good to see that he's getting some practice time. He might be able to return next week.
And plus, we already talked about Deandre Swift earlier, so yeah, Matthew Stafford may have nobody but Marvin Hall to throw it to this week. What about Deebo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers?
Samuel's dealing with this hamstring strain that's kept him out for a while here. Kyle Shanahan does expect Deebo to return after the team's bye this week. It might be worth looking at your IR. It might be worth looking on your waivers to see if he's just kind of floating around there. You're gonna have to put him on your team at some point. So you might as well get him this week instead of trying to bid against everybody else if he is on the waiver wire.
Yep, exactly. That's something to just go out there and take a look at just in case. And like we said, we didn't have any moment of silence. We were pretty close. There definitely could have been a possible one here, maybe even two this week, but we're staying positive. We're hoping these guys can come back before the fantasy season is over. So, Ethan, I appreciate it. Basically, next week we're just going to say everybody has a foot sprain, and when the show is going to be super quick.
I might have a foot sprain next week.
Maybe I will too. I mean, everybody else is getting it. I feel like I should have one also.
Agreed.
Are they painful?
Yes.
If you just sit in the chair all day, are they painful?
Not as bad.
Okay, then I can handle it.
I'm not. Fine.
I'll be fine. I'm not going out there and rushing for 100 yards or nothing. But, it is what it is. All right, but hey, that was the Week 11 injury report. We enjoy doing shows like this. It's something that you don't see a whole lot of out there on YouTube. If you have other questions about certain players in which we did not cover, put them down in the comment section down below. Ethan will do his best to hit you up and hit you back with a comment if he has any information on those players. But we greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you're tuning in to Saturday night's live stream. I usually text Ethan before the live stream and say, hey, you got anything for me? And that way I have that up-to-date information just as we go live. So don't miss out on that, Ethan. I appreciate it here once again. Week 11 already. The season's winding down. It's crazy. It's gone super fast.
It has. I'm very upset, and it saddens me. Saddens me deeply.
Well, hopefully we can find something to cheer you up. I don't know what it would be quite yet, but whatever it is, we'll be on the lookout for it. Everybody, leave Ethan a like down below just to cheer him up a little bit. That would definitely cheer him up if he can get a lot of likes on this video. Plus, hit the subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that support. Hopefully you guys had a great week this week, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.